Have you ever wondered how people in the Middle Ages managed their hygiene? The answer might surprise you. In a time where life expectancy was low, hygiene was often overlooked, and social inequality ran rampant. The Middle Ages were a challenging period for those pursuing cleanliness. The era was marked by a decline in medical knowledge and advancements, making for some truly intriguing practices. Not to mention the rampant unsanitary conditions that were more the rule than the exception. So buckle up as we dive into the fascinating and sometimes gross world of medieval hygiene practices. The early Middle Ages, a period marked by a significant decline in sanitation standards. During this era, the understanding of hygiene was far from what we know today. Common practices included using urine as a washing agent. Yes, you heard it right, urine. The ammonia found in urine was thought to be beneficial in removing dirt and stains, a concept that seems gross to us now, but was commonplace then. Straw was used for flooring, a practice that contributed to unsanitary living conditions. This straw, often left unchanged for long periods, became a breeding ground for pests and disease. Bathing, on the other hand, was infrequently practiced, largely due to religious beliefs. The church often associated cleanliness with vanity, leading many to avoid regular bathing. These practices, driven by a lack of understanding and misinformation, greatly impacted the health of the people, contributing to the low life expectancy that characterized the period. The early Middle Ages, indeed a time of ignorance, brought about by a lack of understanding of hygiene and its importance. As we move into the heart of the Middle Ages, hygiene practices didn't get any better. In fact, they took a turn for the worse. It's hard to imagine, but sanitation was not considered a priority. One of the most shocking examples of this was the use of public toilets. These communal conveniences were far from clean. With no sewage system, waste was often simply thrown into the streets, leading to a stench that permeated the air. This lack of cleanliness wasn't just unpleasant, it was downright dangerous. Diseases spread rapidly through these unsanitary conditions, taking a heavy toll on the population. From the bubonic plague to cholera, many of the deadliest diseases in history found a breeding ground in the filth of the Middle Ages. Why did people tolerate such conditions? The answer lies in religious beliefs and societal norms of the time. Bathing was considered a form of vanity and was frowned upon. Moreover, the church dictated that the body was a source of sin and should be neglected in the pursuit of spiritual purity. These beliefs, combined with a lack of knowledge about disease transmission, led to the continuation of unsanitary practices. And let's not forget about the straw flooring. Yes, you heard right. Straw was used as flooring in homes, attracting vermin and bugs, further exacerbating the spread of diseases. Doesn't exactly paint a pretty picture, does it? It's safe to say the Middle Ages were not a period you'd want to time travel to, especially if you value cleanliness. As we approach the end of the Middle Ages, did things start to change? Well, let's delve into that. Towards the end of the Middle Ages, a subtle shift in hygiene practices began to emerge. People started to recognize the importance of cleanliness, albeit at a slow pace. Bathing, once regarded with suspicion due to religious beliefs, began to regain some acceptance. Public bathhouses, although still a breeding ground for disease, became more common, offering a semblance of cleanliness to those who could afford them. Simultaneously, advancements in medicine were slowly being made. The use of leeches for medical treatment, while still prevalent, started to decrease. The understanding of disease causation was still primitive, but the notion that cleanliness could play a part in prevention started to take root. Physicians began to recommend clean air, personal hygiene, and a balanced diet as ways to maintain health. Sanitation too saw some improvements. Towns began to implement rudimentary waste disposal systems, albeit inconsistently. The use of straw for flooring, a notorious contributor to unsanitary conditions, started to decline. But did these changes have a significant impact on people's lives? Well, the answer is both yes and no. While these shifts certainly represented progress, they were slow and inconsistent. Many still lived in squalor, and life expectancy remained low. Disease was still rampant, and the understanding of its prevention was still in its infancy. While some improvements were made, the late Middle Ages were still a far cry from the hygiene standards we observe today. The glimmer of change was there, but it would take centuries more for it to truly shine. So there we have it, a journey through the hygiene practices of the Middle Ages. We've delved into the early period, a time of ignorance where knowledge and advancements in medicine were forgotten. We've navigated through the Middle Period, marked by unsanitary practices, from urine used for washing to straw flooring and infrequent bathing. Lastly, we've touched on the late Middle Ages, where a glimmer of change was seen, despite the still prevalent unsanitary conditions. We can be thankful that hygiene practices have come a long way since then. Until next time, stay clean and stay curious.